Hello guys, welcome to Fictional Vortex. So in this video, we will see what if Naruto was the Marine Admiral Orange Fox, possessing the Sun God Nika fruit Naruto x Robin, One Piece. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, The Fox and the Archaeologist. The explosion rocked the marine battleship, sending several soldiers stumbling across the deck. Admiral Naruto Uzumaki didn't budge. He stood at the bow, orange coat billowing in the wind, 3 whisker marks on each cheek catching the sunlight as his eyes tracked the pirate vessels attempting to flank their position. They never learn, do they? He grinned, cracking his knuckles as he stepped onto the railing. Konohamaru. You have command until I return. His vice admiral, a serious young man with spiky brown hair, snapped to attention. Sir, there are 5 ships. Even for you, 5? Naruto laughed, his blue eyes gleaming with mischief. That barely qualifies as a warm-up. Without waiting for a response, he leaped from the railing, his body stretching impossibly as he soared through the air. The Marines watching from below still couldn't believe their eyes, even after serving under him for years. The Admiral's body glowed with a brilliant golden-white energy as he transformed mid-jump, his limbs elongating and his already spiky blonde hair erupting into wild flame-like patterns. Nika Rasengan Barrage. Naruto's voice boomed across the water as he created a dozen glowing clones in midair. Each clone formed a spiraling sphere of energy in their hands before diving toward the pirate ships. The impacts came in rapid succession, with splintering, masts collapsing, and pirates flying in all directions. 3 ships were disabled in the first assault. Aboard the marine vessel, Konohamaru shook his head with a smirk. Show off. Still can't believe we got the weird one, muttered a newer recruit. Watch your mouth, Konohamaru snapped. That weird one has the highest success rate in the entire Navy. Admiral Orange Fox earned every bit of his reputation. On the pirate flagship, Captain Razor, a burly man with a bounty of 320 million berries, grabbed his custom-made cannon gun. It's that freaky rubber bastard. All hands prepare for. He never finished his sentence. Naruto landed directly in front of him, his body snapping back to normal proportions but still radiating that strange golden glow. Hey there. I'm actually not made of rubber, it's more complicated than that, Naruto said casually, as if they were having a friendly chat. I get that mistake all the time, though. No hard feelings. Razor fired his cannon point blank. The explosion engulfed Naruto completely, but when the smoke cleared, the Admiral stood unharmed, the cannonball held casually in his hand. That's just rude. We were talking. Naruto flicked the cannonball back with his thumb, sending it into the ship's powder magazine. The resulting explosion sent pirates scrambling for the lifeboats. As Razor reached for his sword, Naruto's arm stretched forward, his hand grabbing the captain's face. You guys were shipping weapons to Water 7, planning to hit civilian targets. Not happening on my watch. Naruto slammed the pirate captain into the deck with enough force to crack the planking. When the dust cleared, Razor lay unconscious in a small crater of splintered wood. Anyone else feeling brave today? Naruto called out to the remaining crew. The pirates dropped their weapons instantly. 20 minutes later, Naruto returned to his ship, carrying the unconscious captain over one shoulder while his clones herded captured pirates onto marine vessels. Admiral, his communications officer called, urgent message from headquarters. Fleet Admiral Sengoku wants immediate confirmation that you're en route to the operation at O'Hara. Naruto's playful expression shifted to something more serious. Tell them we're on schedule. We'll make the rendezvous by dawn. As the crew prepared the captured pirates for transport, Naruto retreated to his quarters. Once alone, he pulled off his gloves and stared at his hands. For a moment, the faint white glow of the Nika power pulsed beneath his skin before fading. Still don't have perfect control, he muttered. His mind drifted back to how it all began, 5 years earlier. Naruto had been fighting Kaguya alongside Sasuke when a dimensional rift tore open. He remembered falling, tumbling through space and time, before crashing into ocean water. The salt burned his eyes and filled his lungs as he struggled toward what he hoped was the surface. When he breached the water, gasping for air, he found himself surrounded by unfamiliar ships flying strange flags. One vessel approached, men in white uniforms with rifles trained on him. "State your name and business," a stern voice called out. Coughing up seawater, Naruto could barely respond. "Naruto. Uzumaki." He remembered being hauled aboard, interrogated for days. They thought he was a devil fruit user, but his abilities didn't match any known powers. When he demonstrated shadow clones and Rasengan, the Marines realized they had something, or someone, entirely new. It was Vice Admiral Garp who took an interest in him. "You fight like someone who's been through wars," Garp had said during their first sparring match, after Naruto had surprised him with a counter that sent the legendary Marine flying. "But you talk about protecting people like you mean it. Not many do these days." Naruto had no way home, no connections in this strange world. The Marines offered structure, purpose, and most importantly, information. He rose through the ranks quickly, his abilities making him invaluable in battle while his natural charisma earned him loyalty from those serving under him. Then came the mission that changed everything, intercepting a celestial dragon ship carrying forbidden treasures, including a devil fruit unlike any the world government had catalogued. The fruit looked ordinary enough, swirling patterns across its surface, but something about it called to him. When pirates attacked the convoy, Naruto found himself cut off from reinforcements, badly wounded, the strange fruit the only thing within reach. One desperate bite, and everything changed. The power that flowed through him was both familiar and alien, reminiscent of Kurama's chakra but fundamentally different. His body transformed, becoming more fluid, more adaptable. But unlike typical rubber powers, Naruto could still use chakra, could still form Rasengan and summon shadow clones. The Nika fruit had somehow merged with his existing abilities, creating something new. When the battle ended, dozens of defeated pirates lay scattered across the deck. The celestial dragon, rather than showing gratitude, demanded Naruto's execution for consuming holy property. It was Sengoku who intervened, recognizing the value of Naruto's enhanced abilities to the Marines. Within a year, he received his promotion to Admiral and the nickname that would spread fear throughout the seas, Orange Fox. A knock at the door pulled Naruto from his memories. "Enter," he called, straightening his orange coat. Konohamaru stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "Sir, I've been reviewing the Ohara operation briefing. Something doesn't add up." "What do you mean?" "The target is supposedly a group of archaeologists studying forbidden history. The briefing portrays them as dangerous revolutionaries, but their activities appear largely academic. And the force being assembled, it's excessive for apprehending scholars." Naruto frowned. "Who else is attending?" "Admiral Akainu is leading the operation." That single name made Naruto's stomach knot. Akainu's idea of justice was scorched earth, no survivors, no exceptions, no mercy. "Show me everything we have on Ohara," Naruto said, his playful demeanor completely gone now. For the next several hours, they pored over the intelligence reports. The scholars of Ohara were researching the void century, the mysterious 100-year period that the world government had forbidden anyone to study. Their supposed crime was seeking knowledge. "This isn't justice," Naruto muttered. "This is fear." Dawn found them approaching Ohara, a beautiful island dominated by an enormous tree. As they neared the harbor, Naruto saw the other marine vessels already assembled, a force large enough to conquer a small kingdom, not capture a handful of academics. Akainu stood on the lead vessel, his imposing figure radiating menace even from a distance. "Admiral Orange Fox," he acknowledged coldly when Naruto boarded his ship for the briefing. "I trust you're prepared to execute justice today." "Always," Naruto responded carefully. Though I prefer to understand the threat before determining the appropriate response. Akainu's eyes narrowed. The scholars of O'Hara seek knowledge that threatens the very foundation of the world government. They consort with pirates and revolutionaries. The threat they pose is existential. And the civilians on the island? Contaminated by proximity. We have evacuation vessels for those who comply immediately. Something in Akainu's tone told Naruto that evacuation wasn't the man's priority. The briefing continued, with Akainu laying out a plan that essentially amounted to surrounding the island and preventing any escape while a strike team secured the primary target, apparently a specific archaeologist whose capture was paramount. You will lead the western approach, Akainu instructed Naruto. Ensure no one escapes in that direction. Naruto nodded, already planning how to ensure civilians could safely reach evacuation ships in his sector. As the meeting concluded, Naruto caught sight of a file on Akainu's desk, a wanted poster for a woman with striking features and intelligent eyes. The name read, Nico Robin, and the epithet below it, Devil Child. The operation began an hour later. Marine ships encircled the island while Den Mushi broadcasts ordered the inhabitants to proceed to evacuation points. Naruto positioned his forces to create a clear corridor for civilians, personally checking each group to ensure they reached safety. Admiral, one of his officers reported, we've spotted someone matching the description of the primary target attempting to access the library. Naruto's eyes narrowed. I'll handle this personally. Continue evacuation procedures. He moved across rooftops, following the coordinates until he reached the enormous tree that housed O'Hara's famous library. Inside, chaos reigned as scholars frantically gathered books and research notes while Marines advanced through the lower levels. Using his sensory abilities, still functional despite being in this new world, Naruto detected a presence moving swiftly through the restricted section. He followed, keeping his distance, curious about this woman deemed so dangerous by the world government. When he finally caught sight of her, she was nothing like he expected. Nico Robin moved with purpose but not malice, carefully selecting specific texts while avoiding confrontation. Multiple arms, clearly the result of a devil fruit power, extended from her body to reach distant shelves. What happened next occurred in a blur. A massive explosion rocked the library's foundation. Through the new opening in the wall, Naruto saw Akainu approaching, his arm transforming into magma. The research ends here, the Admiral of the Red Dog declared, his voice carrying no emotion as his molten fist prepared to deliver a killing blow. Robin turned, her face showing resignation rather than fear, the look of someone who had expected betrayal all her life. In that moment, Naruto saw himself as a child, hated, feared, condemned for something beyond his control. Without conscious thought, he moved. Nika's shield. Naruto's body expanded and transformed, interpositioning between Akainu's magma fist and Robin. The impact sent shockwaves through the building, but Naruto's glowing form held firm, absorbing and dispersing the heat. What is the meaning of this? Akainu demanded, genuine shock breaking through his usually impassive demeanor. This isn't justice, Naruto replied, his voice calm but firm as he maintained his protective stance. She hasn't even been questioned, let alone tried for any crime. She carries the blood of O'Hara's demons, Akainu snarled. Step aside, Admiral Orange Fox. No. The simple refusal hung in the air between them. Behind Naruto, Robin stared in disbelief at the Marine Admiral defending her. Akainu's body began to transform more fully, magma flowing around him. This is treason. This is conscience, Naruto countered. Then, without turning, he addressed Robin. I don't know what you're searching for, but you won't find it by dying here. There's a marine vessel on the western shore that won't stop you. Go. For a moment, Robin didn't move. Why would you help me? Because I know what it's like when the whole world decides you're a monster before you've had a chance to prove otherwise. Their eyes met briefly, blue finding dark, before she nodded and backed away. Akainu roared in fury, launching a barrage of magma fists. Naruto countered each one, his Nika powers allowing him to reshape his body to absorb or deflect the attacks while creating openings for Robin to escape. "You've made a grave mistake today," Akainu warned as they separated after a particularly violent exchange. "The world government won't forget this." "Good," Naruto replied. "Maybe they'll finally start paying attention." The confrontation ended in stalemate, neither admiral willing to escalate to full combat with witnesses present. By the time reinforcements arrived, Robin had vanished, and the library of Ohara was engulfed in flames despite Naruto's efforts to save it. 2 weeks later, Naruto stood before Fleet Admiral Sengoku, officially reprimanded but still retaining his position, his record and popularity making him too valuable to dismiss outright. "Your actions were reckless and insubordinate," Sengoku concluded. "However, your concerns about proper judicial process have merit. Therefore, rather than punishment, you are being reassigned." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Reassigned? You will track down and capture Nico Robin. Since you felt she deserved proper investigation rather than summary execution, you can bring her in yourself, alive, to face justice through appropriate channels." It was both a punishment and a test of loyalty. Naruto recognized the political maneuvering at play. "I accept the assignment." Later that evening, Naruto sat in his quarters reviewing everything the Marines had on Nico Robin. The file was surprisingly thin for someone considered so dangerous, a child who had gained a bounty at age 8, surviving the destruction of her homeland, appearing occasionally around the world before vanishing again. What wasn't in the file interested Naruto more than what was included. No specific crimes listed. No evidence presented. Just assertions of danger and connections to forbidden knowledge. A knock interrupted his thoughts. "Enter," he called, quickly closing the file. Konohamaru stepped in, making sure the door was secured before speaking. "The crew is with you, Admiral. Whatever happened at Ohara, we know you acted honorably." Naruto nodded in appreciation. "Thank you. But this new assignment puts everyone in a difficult position. Hunting the devil child. Finding the truth," Naruto corrected. "Something doesn't add up about this whole situation, and I intend to discover what it is." As Konohamaru left, Naruto turned to the window, gazing out at the night sea. Somewhere out there, Robin was running again, probably wondering why a Marine admiral had risked his career to save her. He wondered if she'd believe him if he told her he was just following his ninja way, never going back on his word and never abandoning those who needed protection. A flicker of movement on the deck below caught his attention. A figure slipped between shadows, too graceful to be one of his sailors. Naruto smiled slightly, opening his window and leaping down to the deck in a single bound. "You know, most people would consider boarding a Marine admiral's ship the opposite of a good escape plan," he called out to the apparently empty deck. Silence answered him, but he could sense her presence. "I'm not going to attack you, if that's what you're worried about." After a long moment, Robin emerged from the shadows, her expression guarded but curious. "Why did you help me?" Naruto leaned against the railing, deliberately making himself appear casual and unthreatening despite his rank. "I told you already. I know what it's like to be judged for something you didn't choose. You know nothing about me. I know the world government is terrified of whatever knowledge you possess. I know they've been hunting you since you were a child. And I know that level of fear and determination usually means they're hiding something important." Robin's eyes narrowed. "And now you're hunting me too." "Officially, yes." Naruto shrugged. "Unofficially, I'm more interested in understanding why you're so important that Akainu himself tried to kill you. You're either extremely naive or playing a very dangerous game, Admiral." "Probably both," Naruto admitted with a grin that reminded Robin more of a pirate than a Marine officer. "But I've never been good at following rules that don't make sense." For the briefest moment, something like amusement flickered across Robin's features before her guard returned. "What do you want?" she asked directly. "Information. Exchange. I have questions, you have questions. I'm guessing we both want answers that our respective sides aren't providing. Robin studied him carefully. You're nothing like the other Marines. I'm not from around here, Naruto replied cryptically. Before Robin could respond, voices approached from below deck, the night watch beginning their rounds. Naruto nodded toward the shadows. You should go. Next time, maybe try a less direct approach than sneaking onto my ship. Robin backed away, but paused before disappearing. Why should I trust anything you say? Naruto's expression grew serious, the playfulness falling away to reveal something ancient and determined in his eyes. Because I make promises I keep. And I promise you this, I will find the truth, whatever it costs me. As the night watch appeared on deck, Robin vanished into the darkness, leaving Naruto alone with his thoughts and a growing certainty that he had just set himself on a collision course with the entire world government. He smiled at the thought. It wouldn't be the first time he'd challenged an entire system of power. Something told him it wouldn't be the last, either. Chapter 3, Sun and Shadow. The sun broke through gunmetal clouds as the nine tails sliced through choppy waters, its distinctive orange sails billowing in the fierce wind. On deck, former Marines, now branded pirates, rushed to secure lines and adjust the rigging, working with practiced precision honed from years of military discipline. At the bow, Naruto stood with his arms crossed, salt spray misting his face as he squinted at the horizon. 3 weeks as fugitives had taught him one thing: running sucked, but running with people who believed in you made it bearable. Admiral. Konohamaru called from the quarterdeck. We've spotted Marine vessels off the starboard bow. 2 battleships, possibly more behind them. Naruto sighed. Stop calling me Admiral. That title's worth less than barnacles now. Old habits, Konohamaru grinned, handing him a spyglass. What's the play? Naruto extended the spyglass, his enhanced vision confirming what he'd suspected. Standard pursuit formation. They're hoping to box us in against the reef system ahead. He lowered the glass, a mischievous smile spreading across his face. Good news is, it's not Akainu. Just Vice Admiral Momonga's squadron. And that's good. How exactly? Momonga's smart enough to realize we could sink his ships if we wanted to. He's following orders but won't push a confrontation he can't win. Naruto closed the spyglass with a snap and turned to the crew. Hard to port. We're taking the Obsidian Pass. Several sailors visibly paled. One shouted, that's suicide. The currents will tear us apart. Only if you don't know how to ride them, Naruto countered, leaping onto the main deck. I've got a plan. Trust me. The ship banked sharply left, sails straining against the sudden change. As they approached the jagged black rocks that formed the infamous Obsidian Pass, a narrow channel known for unpredictable currents and sharp underwater formations, Naruto moved to the center of the deck. Everyone hold tight. This gets weird. His body began to glow with the distinctive golden-white energy of his Nika transformation. Rather than growing larger or stretching, however, this time Naruto placed both palms flat against the deck. The energy spread outward, wrapping around the hull of the nine tails in a transparent, shimmering layer. Nika protection, rubber ship. The wooden vessel's exterior suddenly gained the properties of rubber, flexing and bouncing as it entered the treacherous pass. When the first underwater rock scraped against the hull, instead of splintering timber, the ship simply bent around the obstacle, snapping back into shape once past it. Holy shit, muttered one of the newer crew members. He turned the whole ship into rubber. Not exactly, Robin said, appearing beside them with a book tucked under her arm. He's projecting the Nika properties as a field effect. Fascinating application. For 15 tense minutes, the ship bounced and flexed through the narrow passage, ricocheting off rock formations that would have destroyed any normal vessel. The pursuing marine ships couldn't follow, their rigid hulls would shatter on the first impact. When they finally emerged into the open ocean beyond, the crew erupted in cheers. Naruto released the transformation, dropping to one knee as the golden energy receded. Robin approached him, offering a canteen of water. That was impressive. You're expanding the application of your abilities. Naruto drank deeply before answering. Yeah, well, when you're the most wanted man in the Grand Line, you get creative or you get caught. He grinned up at her. That trick bought us at least 2 days before they figure out a new pursuit route. Good. We'll need that time when we reach Avalon Island. Avalon. Naruto stood, stretching his arms. That's not on any marine chart I've seen. It wouldn't be, Robin replied, opening her book to reveal an ancient map drawn on yellowed parchment. It only appears on certain poneglyphs, described as the island where worlds touch. According to my research, it's one of the places where the barriers between dimensions are naturally thinner. Naruto's expression grew serious. You think it might have answers about how I got here? That, and possibly about the nature of your Nika powers. The texts suggest Avalon was sacred to the ancient kingdom as a place of knowledge and power. She hesitated. But we're not the only ones looking for it. Marines? World government? Robin shook her head. Worse. CP0. Naruto's eyes widened. The elite intelligence unit? Damn, they don't mess around. They don't, Robin agreed, her voice dropping. After our encounter with Lucci, the world government must have upgraded our threat assessment. CP0 doesn't just capture targets, they eliminate problems permanently. A silence fell between them, the weight of their situation suddenly heavier than the constant pursuit. We should reach the coordinates by tomorrow morning, Robin finally said. You should rest. That ship transformation took a lot out of you. Naruto nodded, but as Robin turned to leave, he caught her wrist gently. Hey. Thanks. For sticking with us, with me, through this. Something softened in her typically guarded expression. You risked everything to protect me. Trust goes both ways. Later that night, after the crew had settled into watches and most had gone below deck to sleep, Naruto found Robin sitting alone on the upper deck, surrounded by books and maps illuminated by a single lantern. Can't sleep? He asked, settling down across from her. Robin looked up, her dark hair framing her face in the golden light. Too much to process. Too many connections I'm trying to make sense of. Tell me about it, Naruto said, leaning back against the railing. 1 minute I'm fighting in a war to save my world, the next I'm washing up on a beach in this place. Then I join the Marines, eat a magic fruit, and end up a fugitive with the most wanted scholar in the world. Not exactly how I planned things. Robin smiled faintly. Life rarely follows our plans. She hesitated, then asked the question she'd been holding back. Do you miss it? You're home. Naruto looked up at the stars, considering. Yeah. I had friends there, people who counted on me. Unfinished business. His expression grew distant. But it's been 5 years now. They probably think I'm dead. If Avalon truly exists as described, it might offer a way back, Robin said carefully, watching his reaction. The ancient texts suggest it was a crossroads between realms. And what would you do if I disappeared back to my world? Naruto asked, his blue eyes suddenly intense, focused entirely on her. Robin looked away. Continue the mission. Find the truth. It's what I've always done. Alone. I've always been alone, she said simply. Naruto moved closer, his voice soft but firm. You know, back in my world, I grew up completely isolated. Hated for something inside me that I didn't choose or understand. He smiled without humor. Sound familiar? Robin's gaze returned to his face, seeing the genuine understanding there. I eventually found people who saw past that, he continued. People who became precious to me. And I learned something important, being alone isn't the same as being strong. It's just being alone. Is that why you saved me at O'Hara? Some misguided sympathy? Nah. Naruto grinned. I saved you because it was the right thing to do. I kept helping you because I recognized your strength. And I'm still here because... He paused, suddenly uncertain. Because? Robin prompted, her voice barely above a whisper. Before he could answer, a shout came from the crow's nest. Land ahead. Strange formation off the port bow. The moment broken, they both rose and moved to the railing. Through the pre-dawn haze, an impossible sight emerged, an island suspended above the ocean, connected to a smaller land mass below by massive, twisting stone pillars that resembled tree trunks. Avalon, Robin breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. It's real. Naruto stared at the floating island, a strange sensation washing over him. It feels familiar somehow. Like the chakra flow around Mount Myaboku. Mount what? A sacred place in my world where the toads live, the ones who taught me sage techniques. He shook his head. This place has the same energy signature. As they drew closer, details became clearer. The upper island was lush with vegetation unlike anything in the known seas, trees with leaves in impossible colors, flowers that seemed to glow even in daylight. The stone pillars supporting it were covered in ancient carvings that spiraled upward. Those markings, Robin said, using a small telescope to examine them. They're not poneglyph script, but something older. Proto-language. They anchored the 9 tails in a sheltered cove at the base island. Naruto organized the crew into defensive positions, half would guard the ship while the rest, led by Konohamaru, would establish a perimeter camp. Keep the Den Mushi on alert frequency, Naruto instructed. If anything approaches, marine, pirate, or sea king, I want to know immediately. What about you two? Konohamaru asked, glancing between Naruto and Robin. We're heading up, Naruto replied, pointing to the twisted stone paths that wound around the pillars toward the floating island above. That's where the answers are. The climb was challenging. The ancient paths were worn by millennia of wind and rain, sometimes crumbling under their feet. Halfway up, they encountered their first evidence that the island was more than just a geographical anomaly. A stone doorway stood embedded in one of the massive pillars, covered in the same swirling script they'd observed from below. Robin ran her fingers over the markings, her expression intense with concentration. I can almost read it, she murmured. It's like a blend of poneglyph and something else, something I've only seen fragments of before. Naruto examined the door itself. No handle, no obvious mechanism. He pressed his palm against it, channeling a small amount of his energy. The door responded instantly, glowing with the same golden light as his Nika transformation. Ancient mechanisms ground into motion, and the stone slab slid sideways, revealing a passage that spiraled upward through the interior of the pillar. How did you know to do that? Robin asked, amazed. Naruto looked at his hand, equally surprised. I didn't. It just felt right. Like the door recognized me somehow. The interior passage was illuminated by strange, phosphorescent moss that cast an eerie blue glow over the carved walls. As they ascended, the carvings told a story, figures with elongated limbs battling creatures of shadow, a great tree connecting spheres that might represent worlds, and repeatedly, a figure radiating light, arms outstretched. The sun god, Robin whispered, pausing to study one particularly detailed carving. These depictions are older than any I've seen before. They emerged finally onto the floating island itself. From this vantage point, the beauty was breathtaking, and alien. Trees with bark like polished metal supported canopies of crystalline leaves that chimed softly in the breeze. Flowers opened and closed in patterns that suggested consciousness rather than simple heliotropism. At the center of it all stood an enormous structure, a temple or observatory built from the same stone as the supporting pillars. This place, Naruto said softly, it's alive somehow. Can you feel it? Robin nodded. The island itself seems to have a heartbeat. They approached the central structure cautiously. Its entrance was a massive archway carved with the same swirling script, but here the markings glowed faintly, pulsing in slow rhythm. Inside, the temple opened into a vast chamber dominated by a circular platform. Around its edges stood stone pedestals supporting crystal spheres of various colors. At the center of the platform was a depression shaped like a perfect handprint. Robin moved immediately to the walls, where intricate text covered every surface. Her fingers traced the symbols, her lips moving silently as she worked to decipher them. "This is incredible," she finally said, her voice trembling slightly with excitement. "This isn't just about the Void Century. It's older. According to this, the ancient kingdom discovered something they called the confluence, points where different worlds naturally touch." Naruto examined the central platform. "What's this for?" "It's described as the Palm of Worlds. A device that allows one to see, and in rare cases, travel between, the connected realms." She continued reading, her expression growing more intense. "Naruto, according to this, the sun god Nika wasn't just a devil fruit power. The fruit itself was created as a tool to help navigate and stabilize these connections between worlds." Naruto stared at her. "You're saying my fruit was designed for dimensional travel?" "Not exactly. It says the power of Nika is, to embody the freedom of form that transcends boundaries. The ancient kingdom apparently used this power to establish contact with other worlds, sharing knowledge and culture." Her voice dropped. "Until the 20 kings decided such connection was too dangerous. They feared ideas from other worlds would undermine their authority. So the Void Century was partly an attempt to erase all knowledge of these connections. They destroyed the ancient kingdom not just for their weapons, but because they represented the ultimate freedom, the freedom to transcend the very boundaries of their world." Naruto approached the central handprint. Something about it pulled at him, a resonance with the power that flowed through his veins. "This text," Robin continued, moving to another section of wall, "it describes a great conflict in another realm that thinned the barriers, allowing energies to flow between worlds." She looked up at him, her eyes wide. "Naruto, I think it's describing how you got here. Your final battle was so significant it created a rift that pulled you through." Naruto placed his hand in the depression before Robin could stop him. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. The entire chamber erupted with golden light. The crystal spheres on their pedestals began to spin, projecting images around them, different worlds, different realities. One showed a familiar landscape, Konoha, the Hokage monument, streets Naruto recognized from his childhood. "That's my home," he whispered, reaching toward the image. But something was wrong. The village appeared to be under attack, buildings burning, figures locked in combat too distant to identify clearly. "The barriers are thinnest during conflict," Robin said, repeating what she'd read. "What you're seeing might be happening now, or it might be the same battle from when you left. Time doesn't always flow equally between worlds." Naruto pulled his hand away, and the images faded. The golden light dimmed but didn't disappear entirely, continuing to pulse through the chamber in gentle waves. "I could go back," he said quietly, staring at the platform. "If I figured out how to use this properly." Before Robin could respond, a cold voice cut through the chamber. "How wonderfully convenient. You've done all the hard work for us." They spun to find 5 figures standing in the temple entrance. Their pristine white suits and expressionless masks identified them instantly: CP0, the world government's absolute elite. "Nico, Robin and the traitor Uzumaki," the lead agent said, his voice distorted slightly by his mask. "Discovering forbidden knowledge yet again. This time, there will be no escape." Naruto stepped forward, positioning himself between Robin and the agents. "You guys are really persistent, you know that. Don't you have anything better to do than chase scholars around?" "The world government cannot allow knowledge of cross-dimensional travel to spread," the agent replied. "This island will be destroyed once we eliminate you both." "Yeah, that's not happening." Naruto's body began to glow as he activated his Nika power. "Robin, keep working on translating those texts. I'll handle these guys. The CP-0 agents moved with blinding speed, using advanced Rokushiki techniques that made them nearly invisible to normal perception. But Naruto wasn't normal, his senses enhanced by both Sage Mode and the Nika fruit, he tracked their movements easily. Two agents converged on him from opposite directions, their fingers hardened into deadly weapons with Shurgan. Naruto's body twisted impossibly, bending backward until his head nearly touched his heels, allowing the attacks to pass harmlessly above him. Nika rubber shockwave. He snapped back upright with explosive force, creating a concussive wave that caught both agents and sent them crashing into the temple walls. The lead agent leaped high, his leg blurring as he executed a Rankyaku so powerful it split the air itself. Naruto countered by stretching his arm, the limb coiling like a spring before releasing with devastating force. Spiral Rasengan. The spinning energy sphere collided with the air blade, creating a vortex that tore through the temple's ceiling, exposing the chamber to open sky. As Naruto battled the CP-0 agents, Robin worked frantically at the wall texts, her multiple hands copying important passages into a notebook while others defended against an agent trying to reach her. "Naruto," she called out. "There's more here about your power. The Nika fruit doesn't just allow transformation, it's tied directly to the island's energy. You should be able to." Her words were cut off as an agent materialized behind her, arm raised for a killing blow. Naruto saw it happening but was engaged with two others, too far away to reach her. "Robin." Something unprecedented happened. At Naruto's desperate shout, golden energy surged from his body, crossing the chamber in a flash and manifesting around Robin as a protective avatar, a translucent, glowing fox with 9 tails that intercepted the agent's strike. Everyone froze in shock, including Naruto. That's Kurama's chakra," he whispered. "But how?" Robin recovered first, using her multiple arms to grab the stunned agent and flip him over her shoulder. "The texts say Nika's power is limited only by imagination and will. The fruit is responding to your emotions, manifesting powers from your original world." The revelation changed the tide of battle instantly. Naruto closed his eyes, connecting deeply with the familiar sensation he thought he'd lost when arriving in this world. "Let's test that theory." Golden energy erupted around him, forming the distinctive chakra cloak he'd once shared with Kurama. But this was different, streaked with the white glow of Nika, more fluid, more adaptable. When he opened his eyes, they blazed with renewed purpose. "I don't need to go back," he realized. "I can bring what I need forward." The remaining CP-0 agents regrouped, preparing for a coordinated assault. Their leader stepped forward. "Whatever power you've unlocked, it won't save you. This island is already surrounded. Admiral Akina himself is approaching." As if summoned by the name, the temple shook violently. Through the broken ceiling, they could see a massive marine battleship hovering above the island, supported by what appeared to be solidified air platforms, the work of advanced devil fruit users in the Marine Special Forces. Standing at the prow, his distinctive red suit and cap unmistakable even at distance, was Akainu. "Perfect timing," Naruto muttered. "Robin, how close are you to finishing?" "I have what we need," she replied, securing her notes. "But we're trapped. They control all approaches to the island now." Naruto grinned, the expression feral and confident. "Who said anything about using conventional approaches?" He slammed his transformed fist into the temple floor. "Nika World Bridge." The golden energy poured from him into the ancient stone, activating systems that had lain dormant for millennia. The entire island trembled as crystalline structures emerged from hidden compartments in the walls and floor, aligning with the central platform. "What are you doing?" demanded the CP-0 leader, backing away as the energy intensified. "Showing you why the ancient kingdom was so feared," Naruto replied. "They didn't just have weapons, they had connections." The temple's remaining roof collapsed completely as a column of golden light shot skyward from the activated mechanism. Above, the marine battleship was forced to veer away from the energy pillar. Naruto, Robin said urgently, according to the text, this is going to create a temporary portal, but we can't control where it leads. Trust me, Naruto replied, his eyes never leaving the CP0 agents as he backed toward her. I know exactly where we're going. The lead agent lunged forward in desperation, but too late. The golden light engulfed Naruto and Robin completely, and they vanished from the chamber. They rematerialized on the deck of the Nine Tails, startling Konohamaru and the crew who had been watching the aerial standoff between marine forces and the island's strange defenses. Captain! Konohamaru shouted, recovering quickly from the shock of their appearance. What the hell is happening up there? The island's awakening, Naruto replied, still glowing with the combined Nika energy. And we need to move, now. Above them, the floating island was transforming. The massive stone pillars that had supported it were reshaping, becoming more like massive roots or tentacles that swept through the air defensively. The golden energy pillar had expanded into a dome that covered the entire upper portion. The ancient kingdom built this place as both a research center and a weapon, Robin explained breathlessly. We activated its defensive systems. Akainu's voice boomed across the water, amplified by Den Den Mushi. Uzumaki. Surrender the devil child and the forbidden knowledge. This is your final warning. Naruto stepped to the bow of the Nine Tails, his transformed state making him impossible to miss. Hei, Akainu, he shouted back, not bothering with amplification, his voice carried naturally with the power flowing through him. You want the truth so badly. Here's some truth for you. He raised his hands, connecting once more with the island's energy from below. The golden dome pulsed in response, and suddenly the sky above was filled with projections, massive images visible to every ship in the vicinity. They showed scenes from the Void Century, the ancient kingdom cities, its people, its connection to other worlds. They showed the brutal assault by the 20 kings, the systematic destruction of knowledge, the creation of the world government on a foundation of lies and suppression. The world government wasn't founded to protect people. Naruto's voice rang out. It was founded to control them. To stop them from knowing there were other possibilities, other ways to live. On the marine flagship, Akainu's face contorted with rage. Magma meteor. His transformed fist launched a massive ball of molten rock toward the Nine Tails. Naruto didn't flinch. Nika Sage Art, expanding Truth Seeker. A perfect black sphere formed between his hands, then expanded rapidly to intercept the magma attack. When the two collided, the magma simply ceased to exist, negated entirely by the Truth Seeker orb. The display of power shocked even the marine forces. This wasn't just the Nika fruit, this was something else entirely, a perfect fusion of Naruto's original abilities with his new powers. I'm done running, Akainu. Naruto called out. The world government has been lying for centuries. The ancient weapons weren't created to destroy, they were created to connect. To protect. The real danger was always the fear of freedom. Robin stepped up beside him, her own expression determined. You can kill us, but the truth is already spreading. Look around you. She gestured to the horizon, where dozens of pirate ships had appeared, drawn by the commotion. Among them were vessels flying the flags of the Revolutionary Army, who had obviously been tracking the confrontation. It's over, Akainu, Naruto said, his voice carrying clearly to the marine flagship. You can keep serving lies, or you can open your eyes and see what justice really means. For a moment, it seemed Akainu might order a full assault regardless of the consequences. But even he could recognize an unwinnable situation. With revolutionary forces closing in from one direction and the island's activated defenses from another, he had limited options. This isn't finished, Uzumaki, he snarled, visible even at distance. The world government will never stop hunting you both. Looking forward to it, Naruto replied with a grin. Next time, bring more ships. As the marine forces began a strategic withdrawal, cheers erupted from the crew of the Nine Tails. They had faced down an admiral and lived to tell about it. In the aftermath, as they sailed away from Avalon with several revolutionary ships providing escort, Naruto found Robin at the stern, watching the island disappear into the distance. The island's defenses will prevent anyone from accessing it again without the Nika power, she said when he joined her. We've protected the knowledge, at least for now. But we've also made ourselves the most wanted people in the world, Naruto pointed out. More than before, I mean. Robin smiled, a genuine expression that transformed her face. I'm used to it. Are you having second thoughts? Nah. Naruto leaned against the railing beside her, letting his transformation finally fade. I meant what I said up there. I'm done running. From now on, we take the fight to them. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the horizon. You could have gone home, Robin finally said, not looking at him. When we activated the temple. You saw your world. Yeah, I did. Naruto turned to face her fully. And I saw it was still fighting its own battles. But this world, your world, it's fighting a battle against lies that have persisted for centuries. Seems like they could use someone with experience taking down corrupt systems. She met his gaze. Is that the only reason you stayed? Naruto reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. When she didn't, his hand gently brushed a strand of hair from her face. I stayed because the thing about finding precious people is that you don't abandon them. Not when they need you. Not when you need them. His hand lingered, and Robin leaned into the touch, her guarded expression softening. We make a good team, she said quietly. The scholar and the warrior. Sun and shadow, Naruto agreed with a smile. Between your knowledge and my stubborn refusal to give up, we might actually change this world. Is that your ninja way? She asked, a teasing note entering her voice for perhaps the first time since he'd met her. Something like that. He grinned. Though I'm thinking of updating it a bit for this world. How does never go back on my word, never abandon my friends, and never stop fighting for the freedom to know the truth sound? It sounds like a declaration of war against the world government. Good. Naruto's eyes gleamed with determination and something else, hope, perhaps, or the excitement of a new beginning. That's exactly what I was going for. As the nine tails sailed toward the setting sun, Naruto and Robin remained at the stern, shoulders touching, the space between them finally bridged by trust and something deeper that neither needed to name just yet. Behind them, their crew, no longer Marines but not quite pirates either, prepared for whatever came next. They had uncovered ancient truths, awakened forgotten powers, and challenged the world order all in the span of weeks. Whatever the future held, they would face it together, the Orange Fox Admiral and the Devil Child, rewriting their own stories one adventure at a time. So, Naruto asked, his voice light but his eyes serious, where to next? Robin smiled, the weight of decades spent alone finally lifting from her shoulders. Wherever the truth leads us. Works for me. Naruto took her hand, his warm fingers intertwining with hers. Lead the way, archaeologist. I've got your back. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the sea in shades of gold and crimson, the legend of the Orange Fox and his scholar companion was just beginning, a tale that would eventually shake the very foundations of the world. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.